Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for being here today. Nice to see you all. We wanted to start off with just some introductions to who we are and what we do at the center. As we get people streaming in and trickling in here, we'll use this time just to introduce ourselves, and then we'll get into the information about some upcoming courses that we have. The plan for this webinar is that we're going to have about 30 minutes to tell you about the courses that we have coming up, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers and any other comments that you have towards the end of the webinar. So thank you all for taking out some time in your day or evening or afternoon from wherever you are to join us. I am Hannah Benson. I'm one of the program managers at the UP Center for Executive Education, and I oversee a lot of the programs that we'll be talking about today. I want to throw it over to my co-host here, Julia Delafield, so she can introduce herself as well.
Hey everybody, my name's Julia. I'm the director of the Center for Executive Education here in Costa Rica. So like to have the chance to meet everybody and talk about the programs. And oddly enough, we're going to talk specifically about 4 courses today, and the Global Citizenship Education course is one that, for a number of reasons, has kind of fallen into my special realm of attention. So it's one that I know well as well. But yeah, we're also streaming live on Facebook, and we'll probably be sharing this with everybody we had a whole lot of people write in for this webinar, but of course not everybody's available to actually attend. So thank you guys for taking the time, and we'll also be sort of talking as though there's a wider audience, because there is a wider audience in some way or another.
Fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. We can go ahead and get started. All right, if I could get a thumbs up or some approval that you can see my screen. Excellent, thank you. All right, so Julia, maybe if you want to kick us off, we can, and then we'll kind of interchange slides from there.
Sure. So as Hannah mentioned, we're going to start off just by telling you about what UPEACE is and what the Center for Executive Education is. Maybe a lot of you know us. I recognize some of your names for sure. And maybe others don't, but good to start with that view. And I guess as we kick off, I'll just mention that if you have questions or things you'd like us to address as we go along, as Hannah said, we can take questions at the end, but feel free to throw things into the chat box if you would like something sort of hit as we go along. We can make sure that we weave it in. Okay, so the University for Peace itself is a really unique and I would say fascinating place in the world. We probably have heard us say that we were established by the General Assembly of the United Nations. It's a fact that we're pretty proud of, and it has a lot to do with the identity of UPEACE itself. We're an institution of higher education located here in Costa Rica. That back in 1980 was actually started by the General Assembly of the United Nations. The story goes that there was a landowner here in Costa Rica who was very interested in human rights and conservation and a number of sort of progressive thoughts, as was the president of Costa Rica. For anybody who doesn't know Costa Rica well, the army was abolished here in 1948. So they have a long history of working towards peace building. And the early 80s, it was sort of the height of the Cold War. And everybody wanted to know that there was some hope for humanity to not wind up obliterating itself through war and other disasters. So the UPEACE was created. Right now, what we focus on, the university proper hosts a number of master's and doctoral level programs that look not only at peace building as an area of academic interest itself, but really looking at the root causes of conflict in the world and how we can address those in order to create a more peaceful society. So the 3 main departments within the university are peace and conflict studies. There's one on environment and development, and then there's another on international law. So you can take master's programs related to gender, to media, to peace education, a number of areas that are integrally woven into this idea of addressing some of the injustice in the world to create a more peaceful society. We're a small university and a really, really international university, which you'll see play out in the Center for Executive Education courses as well. We tend to just have a really international student body, but only about 150 students per year. And all of the programs and courses that we do are, of course, set up to reflect the values and sort of the overarching mission of the United Nations itself, trickling down into what the University for Peace is doing as well.
And within the University for Peace, we are the UP Center for Executive Education. We are an organization that empowers people to use their strengths to really be agents of change and have positive impact in the world. Whether you have a master's degree or not, everyone has the ability to have a positive impact, whether it's within your family, within your organization, within your community. We really believe that everyone has the potential to make a difference. And our whole idea is to provide really transformational learning experiences that can set you up for success and set you up to have that positive impact that you really want to have on the world, giving you the networks, the skills, the knowledge, and tools to be able to do so.
So how do we do that? Well, generally, the idea of the Center for Executive Education is to broaden the scope of who's able to interact with UPeace and the mission that we have by offering different kinds of learning formats. We're not focused on the academic master's and doctoral level programs. We're much more focused on professional development, how to give people the skills and tools that they need to become change makers. We do that in a number of ways. We have online programs in 2 different formats, which we'll talk about. We have on-site workshops here at the University for Peace, which thankfully are up and running little by little again after a year of not being able to see anybody face to face. We're getting back into that, which is exciting. And we do a lot of customized programs as well. So we work with organizations and universities that are looking to build specific programs either for staff or for classes that they're interested in focusing on an area within Costa Rica to study. And our sort of capstone projects or capstone programs that we do offer 2 diploma programs, one in global leadership and one in social innovation. I know a couple of people in the room are actually involved in those diploma programs as well, but those consist of taking 5 courses and bringing them together into a diploma to offer a larger format for diving into these areas.
So we know that these days you have a lot of professional development opportunities to choose from, online courses to choose from. So I wanted to take just a little bit of time to talk about what makes our courses different. They are, whether it's on-site or online, they are extremely engaging. We make sure that all of our online courses, we maximize the use of breakout rooms, chats, polls, a level of interaction that what we strive to do is kind of replicate a face-to-face meeting on the online platform. And so we really think that during the pandemic, and now that a lot of people are working virtually, connection is incredibly important, and it's a huge piece of what we do in our courses. A learn by doing approach is exactly what it's the kind of modality to a lot of our courses, because we feel like the more that you do and the more kind of hands-on activities that you have, the more that you'll be able to actually take in that information, understand it, and then be able to use it in your own context. We also have very learner-centered courses. And what does that mean? It's all about you. And it's all about your situation and your context, and how can we take whatever you're learning about and make sure that at the end of the course, you have some kind of practical deliverable that you can then act upon right away. We know that a lot of the courses that we do, and you work kind of week by week to work towards this practical deliverable. And then at the end, you basically have a plan or a strategy to put into place basically the very next day. We do have very global classrooms. We have people from all over the world that are attending our courses, both online and on-site. Much like the University for Peace proper, we do really value the input and perspectives from a classroom that's from many, many different countries. It's not uncommon to have, a group of 15 people with people from Africa and Asia and the US and Canada, all being part of a cohort and learning towards a similar theme. And that goes for our facilitators as well. They are also very diverse, but they are practitioners. They are living and they have breathed whatever they are teaching you about. You better believe that they've lived it themselves. They've seen the challenges. They know what you're going through and can relate in that way. They also make themselves extremely available to you. So if you have questions throughout the course, you can shoot them an email. They're more than willing to set up kind of one-on-one Skype conversations or Zoom conversations with you. But again, it's all about making sure that you get what you need out of each course, no matter which, if it's on-site or online, and making sure that you have the best experience possible and are able to then contribute to your own professional development in a way that really makes sense to you.
So how do we do it? Basically, this slide is just in here because we want to make it clear that we understand we're working with adults and learners that learn in a different way than you might, that you may perhaps our classroom for children shouldn't be run the way they are, but certainly the idea is that we are looking to using research to understand how adult learners are learning and then trying to cater towards that. So what does that mean? Really low on lecture and the person who's in front of the room, even if it's a Zoom room, assuming that they have all the knowledge and passing it down. We have amazing people in our courses and a lot of them know just as much of the facility as the facilitators about a different angle of what we're talking about. So we're really into as much conversation as we can get going on between participants, as much learn by doing or working together, breakout rooms, putting it into practice as much as possible with as little sort of lecture style as possible.
So again, these are the 4 courses that we want to talk about today. We have some different modalities. So like Julia said, we have 2 types of online courses. And we are very, very excited to also be talking about an on-site workshop that we are going to be running at the beginning of July. So we're going to be talking about first tackling finance in the social sector. We'll move on to design for change, which is the on-site workshop. Global citizenship education, which is a live virtual workshop, again, an online course, but it's a little bit of a different modality. And then we will finish up with a course called Designing Your Life.
So the first one of these, tackling finance in the social sector. This is a 4-week course that starts in June that's really designed for anybody who works within an impact-oriented organization, business, who's involved in the financial aspect in one way or another. It's very purposefully set up to work for for-profit and nonprofit modules, if you will, in their fundraising and funding needs. But what the program does is that really it digs into how relationships work and what relationships you can look for when you're looking into fundraising. You really dig into looking at finances and thinking about what your needs are. The program actually starts off by setting up a lean canvas model for your organization so that you can show why you deserve to have money. That's obviously a key factor in attracting funding. And as another part of the final outcome, you actually build a 2-pager that can be presented to potential donors. Focus again on the impact that you're creating. So what's a little bit different about this course than many is that it is oriented, it's sort of based upon the premise that in today's world, even people investing would like to understand that they're having a positive impact on the world. Very, very, very many people these days have that as one of their main goals. So how can you put that at the forefront of what you're doing and then come up with a real strategy to get connected and start breaking into that world and understanding how to do it. So the people in this class, there are a lot of budding social entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out where to go forward. A lot of NGO leaders or people who are involved in the development role in NGOs or are interested in moving that direction in their careers. And then, yeah, others who are just looking to understand the sector. So in general, in our programs, interestingly enough, we have a lot of academics as well who are simply trying to get the full picture of, you know, what is the social innovation field? How is this working? And how can I be a part of it? This class is set to begin just next week. It's very close, but we still have, I believe it's about 3 spots left in the class. So it is still possible to join it. And I included a lovely picture of Shelley Galvin, who is the woman featured here. She's the facilitator for the course, and she is definitely one of the highlights of this program. She works with a funding organization, so she understands very deeply the whole sector, but also how people make decisions about where funds go. And she's extremely contagiously positive and helpful. So she's, all of our facilitators are available for instance, one-on-one conversations if you're sort of hitting a wall and not able to get by it. And all of them give detailed feedback on your final project. As Hannah said, you hand in a deliverable that's a cumulative project you've been working on throughout the program, in this case with the organizational project budget, a 2-pager, and a strategy map. So you get feedback from all of your professors on these sorts of things, but Shelley in particular, we get rave reviews about how she inspires everybody to just get out there and start trying and figure out how to do it.
And then on the heels of that course, we have Design for Change. This is the on-site experience that I was mentioning previously. We're really excited about this. This is a experience that basically combines 2 different workshops into one. So this is the first 2 days on July 1st and 2nd. You'll be taking a design thinking course with Mohit Mukherjee, who is the founding director of the UP Center for Executive Education. And then the 3rd day on July 3rd, you're going to delve into change management. We're going to bring in an external consultant for this as well, who lives and works in the field. And we'll really look at understanding what change readiness means to you. How do you react to change? And then how do you kind of turn that onto your team, and how do you lead them through a change-ridden environment? I think this course is really pertinent to the times right now. We know that COVID has forced immense change on all organizations, pretty much in all areas of life, and really forced organizations to pivot in a way that they weren't expecting to have to do. So if that kind of resonates with where you are within your organization, this could be a really good fit for you. It's also good for leaders at any level who have to deal with change management and innovative thinking. Whether you work in a corporation, at a big company, perhaps you are a social entrepreneur, you have a startup, or you work in the nonprofit sector. If you have a desire to kind of cultivate this culture of innovation and change readiness, or you want to really just support your team, maybe perhaps you know a lot of these skills, but you want to support your team in being able to move forward and evolve in the face of change and challenges, this is a really great one. So like I said, the first 2 days are really design thinking focused. You will learn and understand the methodology. You'll actually do really fun activities to actually practice the methodology as well. And then also be able to put forth a challenge that you are currently facing and would like to apply the design thinking methodology to as well. And then the 3rd day, like I said, you're going to be thinking about that personal perspective. How do I react to change? I know for a lot of people it's scary and not necessarily something that you love doing, but it's pretty much kind of the way things are right now, and change is just part of life. So understanding your own personal reaction to it and being able to manage that first is kind of the first step. And then again, turning your focus to your teams. How do I lead my teams through an ever-changing environment, an environment that's constantly evolving and constantly in flux, and make sure that they're successful with outcomes and product and whatever that word success might mean to you. So we are, again, doing this on site at the University for Peace campus in Costa Rica. If any of you have been to Costa Rica or been to UPeace in particular, it really is just a magical place on a hilltop with amazing views. You're surrounded by nature. It's almost crazy to think that you're within the San Jose province when you are on this kind of beautiful landscape that is the University for Peace. We are going to be adhering very strictly to all COVID protocols, so strict social distancing and mask wearing, and making sure that at the end of the day, you feel comfortable and secure during those 3 days with us. If you're traveling in and you want to kind of add a travel piece either before the workshop or after the workshop, we're happy to make suggestions on what to do. We obviously live here and know plenty of people and fun things to do. And also, as far as accommodation, we can also help with that as well. We have plenty of hotels that we work with, and we also have a really wonderful network of host families that are close to the university that we can recommend if you're looking for perhaps a more local Spanish-speaking experience.
That brings us to our third course that we're going to talk about today, which is Global Citizenship Education. This one is a slightly different modality. I should have talked more under Tackling Finance about what we consider our regular online courses are set up in a Moodle platform. They're focused on asynchronous learning. They're focused on the learning that can be done at home with readings and videos. And they have the opportunity to engage once a week in a live class as well, but it's not required. This is in part because we have people joining us from all around the world, and it's really hard sometimes to find a time slot that's going to work for somebody in Vietnam and somebody in New Zealand and somebody in Costa Rica. So that's sort of our regular online courses, such as Tackling Finance in the Social Sector, which I already discussed. Global Citizenship Education is what we call a live virtual workshop. What that means is that the focus is more on the synchronous learning. It's more on the live classroom experience in the Zoom classroom. And those classes are, obligatory. Of course, if you have to miss something for an emergency, we can always talk. But basically, if you want to take it, you should be aware of the times and make sure that they work for you. And there are still readings and supplemental videos and things like that that happen outside the classroom. But really the focus is on that face-to-face experience that happens during those hours. So it's a bit of a flip, if you will. And again, we offer the two modalities because of time zones and also because of learning styles. There are people that simply do better one way or the other. And in fact, somebody mentioned in the chat that our classes are in English. It's true, the majority of our classes are in English. And for a lot of people, it's not their first language. So some people also feel more comfortable in a classroom where they can spend more time reading, watching videos, pausing, looking up words if they need to, doing what they need to make sure that their comprehension level works. So what is Global Citizenship Education? Over on the right-hand side here, you will see the 4 different modules that will be covered. It's 4 classes that are 2 to 3 hours each in the month of July, that sort of lead you through a journey. The idea is that this class is principally for educators, although the word education is a bit loose. We have people in informal forms of education who are definitely have taken and benefited a lot from this course as well. The basic idea is that the classroom should reflect global values. How do you bring into your classroom an understanding of who am I and how do I fit into this broader context that is the world around us? And in fact, we brought this online last year, right during the start of COVID, when a lot of people had been used to being able to actually incorporate international experiences into their classroom and no longer could. This year, that's changing a little bit, but it's still really, really relevant. So you go through what the pedagogy of it, how can you build things in? And then this class does also touch upon design thinking, because design thinking is really a method for problem solving and innovation. So if you want to change the way your classroom looks and make it more globalized, design thinking is a methodology that can be used to think through how to do that and how to come up with a quick prototype that you can actually implement. So in case it seems odd that that's in there, it's because part of the journey is for you to actually come out with this practical plan of how am I going to do more of this in my setting, and the design thinking helps build that. It also includes empathy and cultural humility, and soft and critical global citizenship skills. So really digging into some critiques of what's going on out there and how it's done, and how we might do it differently. So exposing you to all of these different ways of looking at education, and then the real goal is for you to build your own plan of how you're going to do more of this. The other thing that's a bit different about this course compared to most is that it is possible to take each one of these modules individually, which the rest of our courses are only given as composite courses where you either take the whole thing or not. In this case, you can take the individual courses, or if you take all 4, you get the certificate in global citizenship education, and it counts towards one of the diplomas should you choose to carry on and do one of those afterwards.
And then finally, this is the 4th course that we wanted to talk about today, Designing Your Life, Innovating from the Inside Out. This is a 4-week, what Julie referred to as a regular online course, basically meaning that a lot of the learning takes place on the Moodle platform, and then you do come together as a cohort during these weekly webinars. But again, if time zones are an issue, people are highly encouraged to attend, but if they can't, then they can watch the recording afterwards. This course is really, I think, pertinent right now. Anyone who needs to recharge or needs a dose of inspiration amid the COVID pandemic, maybe you're tired of working from home, maybe you really need to focus on yourself and understand what you need to live a more fulfilling life. If you're not sure what your purpose is and you really want to make sure that you hone in on that, possibly take a really strong look at what you're good at and what you want to be doing. And also anyone going through a significant change. We know that, again, COVID has also brought lots of change, both personally and professionally for many people. So if you're kind of in the midst of a transition or at a crossroads and you're not really sure what your next step should be, this course is really good at helping you find kind of that roadmap as to what you should do. So it's based in a framework of positive psychology that will help you understand what your strengths are, what are you good at, and what should you be doing more of with your strengths? What are your priorities? What should you be doing more of? What should you be doing less of? And really also kind of understanding how to cultivate a positive mindset, cultivate empathy, and just cultivate kind of these feelings of positivity overall with others and within yourself as well. And basically this 4-week course will take you through, and each week, you will be adding towards a little piece of what at the end will be called a personal life plan. And that means that at the end of the course, you are going to have basically a roadmap to help you understand, how do I lead the life that I want to lead? A life that I feel is meaningful for me, that makes me happy and really puts my well-being at the front and center. And so in all of this, you talk a lot about work-life balance, key relationships. Who do you want to be spending more time with? Who do you want to be spending less time with? Again, what are your strengths and how do you capitalize on those? So at the end, you're just left with this plan that you can implement right away and take steps to kind of lead a more happier, more fulfilling life.
So those are the big courses. And again, in just a second, we'll let you ask some questions if you have any, but should you want to pursue them? And again, I know there are actually a couple of people on here who are signed up for things because I've seen your names and know you. But we will be following up with an email that will give links to all of these courses. If you want to take the time to really dive into the materials that we have, you can respond to that email and ask if you want a brochure, if you'd like an explanation, if you'd like to talk to somebody from our class or from our team, we'd be happy to do that. They do have different price points, although the majority, the 3 out of the 4 are at $5.95, and then the Design for Change on-site is a bit more expensive at $9.95. We do offer, somebody asked about fees. We know we work with people from all around the world, and that's a challenge. Our classes are small, they're first rate, they're hands-on, you have the ability with your professors. They're designed in a way where the base price is fairly high for certain countries that we're working with, and we're really aware of that. A couple things. We do work on payment plans with people who have limited finance where it's difficult to meet this all at once, we can definitely set up to have it covered over a number of months leading up. We do also offer some merit-based scholarships. So not full scholarships, those are usually partial scholarships. And that's our own model, is that we've chosen to do more partial scholarships to try to get in a broader array of people instead of doing full scholarships. But if that is important to you, you can always write to us, and what we'll ask. Yes, they're all in all in US currency, and we'll always listen. If you need a scholarship, we'll always first ask sort of who you are and why you want to take the course, and try to find out more about you. And we base it really around that, around figuring out who's a good fit for the course and really needs it, and then going from there. The classes do tend to fill up. So we would encourage anybody who wants to do one of these to let us know before too long, because as I said, the one that starts next week actually has 3 more spaces. That doesn't always happen, but in this case it did. And it's really quite easy to do. There's no big application process. It's a registration sheet that you fill out that just gets us started with who you are and what you're trying to do. So did I miss anything there, Hannah, that we should talk about it before we go into finding out what
questions? No, I think you hit it all. I think maybe I just wanted to mention that some of you I know are currently doing a class with us and might be interested. Does that convert to our 5-course diploma program? Yes. If you are in a course with us, that is kind of 20% of your journey. Or if you figure that you don't want to sign up for the 5-course diploma program right away, but you want to take one of these individual courses to see what it's like, just to see what it's like and kind of see how to move forward from there, that's also an option, and that course can be counted towards the diploma as well. All right.
We have a lot of people who join by trying something out first. So really, that's what we wanted to share with you. And I know it's a lot of information. So please, anybody who would like to ask a question, feel free to put in the chat box, but you can also unmute yourself and talk. We're back in the main room, and we'd love to say hi.